Do commercial flights fly high enough to benefit from the decreasing effect of gravity? This might sound stupid, but my understanding is that the further away you get from a heavenly body, the less its gravity affects you. That said, air resistance and available atmospheric oxygen decrease with elevation. So I assume that those last factors are most important in commercial flight, but is there any measurable impact on gravitational forces? The short answer is no. Even if you flew as high as the International Space Station, you would still be experiencing 89 of Earth's gravity, and that's 22x higher than a commercial jet flies. The only reason they experience weightlessness is because they are technically in free fall. They are in free fall, but they are moving so fast that the Earth is curving away from them faster than they are falling, so that creates an orbit. But if they were not moving, the station would need to be held up by constant thrust, and the astronauts would experience gravity almost the same as here on Earth. Calculable, definitely. Measurable? Possibly, but the intermittent acceleration you'd get from the plane moving up and down in the airstream would probably be far greater than the difference between gravity at sea level and gravity at 40,000 feet. That's a very good question, but no. The gravity change is barely noticeable. At high altitudes, however, the atmosphere pressure is significantly lower. This is a big deal, as it allows planes to fly faster, and with less drag. No, they don't. To all practical intents and purposes, the gravity at sea level and the stratosphere is the same. The only things that matter are the atmospheric pressure and temperature. They're tightly correlated. Source: a pilot of small aircraft, licensed aircraft mechanic for piston and turbine engines, and physics teacher. In order to notice a significant reduction in gravity, you'll need to fly much, much, much higher than not only aircraft, but also Hubble, Space Shuttle, INT, Space Station, etc. They're also low enough for the reduction of G to be negligible. All the answers in the thread are correct, but I will just offer the observation that the reduced air density at higher altitudes is itself a result of the change in gravitational force at increasing altitudes. And as you correctly state, commercial flights, especially long-distance ones, fly high enough to experience changes in air density, and the impacts on both true airspeed and fuel economy are huge. So in effect, yes, they do fly high enough to benefit from the decreased effects, just not in any direct way due to the slightly reduced gravitational attraction between Earth and the plane. Yes and no. Yes-ish, because at higher altitude, the air pressure is lower, which is due to less atmosphere at even higher altitudes due to gravity unable to hold the atmosphere on Earth at those heights, among other causes that are relatively immaterial to the question. But also no, because at the height airlines fly, the difference in gravity is about 0.4, about 9.806 meters S2 at sea level versus 9.769 meters S2 at 40 k feet. Others have answered far more in depth regarding the actual math involved there. What benefits? The deeper in a gravity field you are, the slower time passes for you, so you get to be the younger to win. Also, the higher you get, the more radiation you are exposed to, and that tends to lessen life expectancy, not increase it. Gravity is holding air in place. That's why planes fly in the first place. Without gravity, planes couldn't fly at all unless they'd use rocket engines. And rocket engines are super inefficient compared to turbojet. No. The International Space Station orbits at 225 miles. Gravity there is still about 90 of that at the surface of the Earth. The reason people float in the ISS is that the orbit around the Earth is fast enough to counteract gravity. Think of a merry-go-round pulling you out, but the Earth at the center with gravity pulling you back inward, and it all balancing out to zero, so you float. In contrast, a plane is less than 10 miles off the ground. Gravity is cancelled by lift. There wouldn't be much to be gained from lesser gravity in the first place, since it doesn't oppose the plane's forward movement, perhaps the ability to fly slightly higher than it might otherwise be able to before it starts having lift versus gravity issues, which can happen as the air gets too thin. Commercial airplanes don't really fly high enough to benefit from a significant decrease in gravity. They fly at high altitudes mainly to avoid air traffic, to be above weather systems for smoother flights, and to take advantage of the thinner atmosphere, which reduces drag on the aircraft and increases fuel efficiency.